to episode 6 of PEDs podcast. We'll be covering fantasy football. I got my beautiful co-host here with me, Lucas Wilson.
Howdy.
How we doing? All right.
Doing great.
We'll cover what happened week 2 with fantasy football, and then we'll kind of get into our outlooks of week 3. We got start sit, we got buy low, sell high, best waiver pickups, and then who we think is for real this season.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so we'll start off by talking about just our league here. We got one of us that is now 2-0, and one of us 1-1.
Yeah. So
obviously, I'm the 2-0 team because he started off 0-1. Can't tell you how great it is to just start a season off like this. Odds are looking good for playoffs right off the bat. And I've had just some disappointing players, and I'm still 2-0. Second highest scoring team this week. It just feels good.
all I can say about that is just soak in while you can. It's not going to last.
I'm enjoying it. Got Mumbach this week. Pretty easy week 3 matchup. It's going to be a breeze. It's going to be a cakewalk.
Just wait till I play you.
I'll see not you in the finals. I'll see somebody in the finals. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll
see about that.
Let's just hit that fast forward button. We may as well just give the pot of money to me now. I don't. No.
No.
You want to wait?
Yeah.
all right.
Let's not overreact here. It's a long season.
I don't think I am. I don't think
I think you're overreacting quite a bit.
Not even in the slightest.
Yeah, no.
Lamar is he's gonna run me all the way to the damn finals.
I started Laviska Shenault this week.
Yeah.
He scored 0.7 points.
So
I still won.
So did Cole's entire team though. So I don't.
I put up 123 points with basically
147. Okay, yeah, sorry. Keep going.
Dude, just soak it in. It's not gonna last, all right? Your high horse is gonna be so high soon enough. Just wait till I face you. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry about it.
Make sure you bring some towels for yourself.
I'm apologizing in advance.
Not white. You don't want to stay on.
Dude, I'm gonna mop the floor with you and your fantasy team.
Okay.
Just wait.
And when do we even play?
I have no idea.
I'll look. All right. One of us is 1-1. I'm 2-0.
All I can say is I redeemed myself from last week, and I'm happy about that. It's better to be 1-1 than 0-2.
That's for sure. I think last week you started off like 0-4 and then went 4 straight wins or something like that.
I was 1-3 last week.
1-3.
So I'm in 4 leagues. He's in 1.
No, last season, didn't you?
Oh, last season?
In our league, you started off either 0-3.
Oh, yeah. So in our season, last year, I started off 0-4.
0-4, and then won 4 straight.
Yeah, the group chat was just ripping me a new one. Won 4 straight.
It was the first season
playoff
with
contention.
Us. Yeah.
And then I finished,
7th or something, 8th, 6th.
Yeah.
Just out of playoffs.
7th.
Yeah, out of 10. It's a good redemption from starting off 0-4.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into kind of the recap of our. Well, we'll get to the boom and bust players for week 2. I'll start off with my boom player on my bench. Picked him up in free agency because someone in our league is extremely unintelligent and dropped him for Jalen Reagor, Cortland Sutton.
And what's ironic about that person is they came in last place last year.
Yeah, Ryan Bender. He was on the golf episode that we had, and he was the one who took last in our league last year, had to wear a dress when we all went out to dinner. Love Ryan. But what are we doing dropping Cortland Sutton after Jerry Jeudy gets hurt and picking up Jalen Reagor? He picked up Cole Beasley and then picked up Jalen Reagor.
Didn't you say Cortland Sutton this week outscored everyone on his roster?
So let's go to Ryan's team real quick.
So that is a tough break.
Cortland Sutton put up, I believe, 23 points. He scored more than Tyreek Hill, Jonathan Taylor, and who else? Antonio Brown on his starting lineup. Outscored all of them put together. And maybe even David Montgomery.
Wow, that is a tough beat. Tough beat.
Yeah, so that's my boom player of the week is Cortland Sutton. Guy is just a monster. I believe at 6'3", 220.
Underrated.
I think he's 6'4", 220. Very underrated. Possibly overlooked because he was out the entire season last year. Everybody had high hopes for Jerry Jeudy, as they should. But Jerry Jeudy found himself on the IR with a high ankle sprain, and now they basically just have Cortland Sutton and the tight end, Noah Fant, and just on cue, Cortland Sutton goes for over 100 yards. I want to say, yeah. Let's see.
I see him and DJ Moore as very
159 yards.
big game. Huge,
big game.
Massive game.
On my bench, but my boom player. So
Yeah.
Okay.
But just to bounce off Portland Sutton.
Yeah.
I view him and DJ Moore as very similar players.
Fantasy production, you mean?
No, like just in the context that they're very underrated
Okay.
in the league because they haven't been on good teams since they've been in the league.
They haven't been elite weapons, but they've been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on from that.
Who's your boom player of week 2 fantasy?
My boom player, I hate to say it because my first round pick is on this team playing the same position, but my boom player is Tony Pollard. And
Pollard?
How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Pollard.
Tony Pollard.
I could be wrong.
I do not care.
All right, fair enough.
I have Ezekiel Elliott, and he has just been outperforming Ezekiel Elliott, and I hate to see it. I mean, I love to see the guy succeed. I love seeing people succeed, but he is just taking it away from Zeke. And,
Yeah.
You know, it's just hurting my fantasy team. But yeah, dude's just been a menace lately. Like, he really has been, like, just showing out, and I think soon enough, maybe the Cowboys might trade Zeke. I mean, a little bit of hot take.
Trade Zeke?
Trade Zeke?
I mean,
just stick with Pollard?
I don't think it's that much of a hot take, but I think it's I don't want to make fun of you, but that's stupid because no one in their right mind is trading for Zeke with that contract. Nobody.
I mean, yeah, why do you pay a
not gonna
guy
cut him.
$100
So he's not going
million and then give his backup
the
same amount of touches?
The only logic there is that they're trying to keep him fresh, but the real answer is Tony Pollard's better.
I can't disagree.
He's more explosive. He seems faster. He hits holes quicker. I don't know if he's stronger, but Zeke's thing was being big and bulky, and now he's not that. So I don't know what Zeke has that. I don't know what Zeke does that's better than Pollard. He's not a better receiving back. You know, Tony Pollard, 24.5 points in our half PPR league. I mean, I like that call for a boom pick. It's hard to ever say that you want to start him just because of the fact that he's RB2 on his own team. Not a bad flex pick going forward, you know, against good matchups. I think that was a good matchup in this past week, which I thought the game was going to be higher scoring, but it was still a good game. But yeah, Tony Pollard, man, he's a good dude, good player.
So do you think, like, going back to Zeke, just kind of falling off lately, do you think when players get that big payday, they just stop caring about, like, training and stuff? Like, they still train, but they just don't go as hard as before.
That narrative definitely is true. I think in this situation, I think part of it depends on position, and then part of it depends on just the personality of the player, right? And I think, so I think a little bit of that applies to Zeke, just a little.
I don't think it happens all the time, but majority of the time, I feel like that's what happens.
You know, and
we saw it with Le'Veon Bell. Yeah. We're seeing it with Zeke. Seeing with Gurley, even though he had injuries he was dealing with.
And I wonder, because we don't know how much they're working out. We don't know if, we saw the tight ends don't really watch film. We don't know how much film they're watching. We don't know if they watch film to begin with. But, you know, I don't know, because it's tough to say that because then you're, like, calling out the guy as a player, as a teammate, right? And I think, you know, Zeke and Dak are extremely close. Like, they're like best friends. So I don't see Zeke getting that payday and then slacking while Dak is trying to carry a team and they're best friends, right? So I just don't think he's that good anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't think he has it. Like, you brought up Le'Veon Bell, right? He got his payday, went to the Jets. They didn't want him. And then, like, they didn't
even really use him on the Jets.
It was the old GM that signed him, and they got a new GM who didn't want him at all, right? And I don't think the coach wanted him at all either. So I don't know if that was as much Le'Veon Bell taking off effort because he got paid. I think it was just
also the Jets didn't trash.
That too, yeah. And then Le'Veon wanted to go to a winning team. Like, I think that narrative that getting your payday does make you want to, you know, take a little off. But
I feel like it just
it's
makes
hard to
you more
call out a player. Yeah, it's hard to call out a player for doing that because that's a big claim you're making, you know. But I think it does exist for sure. I think especially more in the NBA.
I mean, I don't want to say that's for sure what happens. It's just something to ponder.
I just don't think he's that good anymore.
Yeah.
That's all. All right, so let's get to our bust players for week 2 fantasy. And this is a guy, you know, I mean, he's probably make a good argument. He's the most explosive weapon in the NFL. We got Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, 4.4 points in our half PPR league. 1 carry, 15 yards, 3 catches for 14 yards. He's a guy that I thought, you know, his floor was 15. I don't know. I mean, they put up 30-plus points this week. I think the Ravens' goal was to not let that big play to Tyreek happen, and whatever else happens. Obviously, it worked out for him. It was close to not working out for him. And even, you can argue that Mecole Hardman's a good target. They got Clyde. They obviously got Kelsey. I just don't see Tyreek ever scoring less than 15, maybe even 10. And then he puts up a 4.4 in week 2 after a massive week 1. I was super shocked by that. If you told me win or lose, Chiefs are putting up 35, I'm saying Tyreek Hill might match that 35 in fantasy points, just like he did last week, right?
I was just literally going to say that once you're done speaking.
Exactly.
If you see this Chiefs score 35 points,
right?
You're expecting to go into the fantasy board.
How many yards, how many touchdowns does Tyreek have? You could almost argue that Kelsey's a safer lock in that offense to play in fantasy, just because I think their connection with him and Mahomes is it's what Brady's and Gronk's at their peak was. I think that's a bold statement, but like I said, Kelsey's that guy that just finds that soft spot, that soft zone, and just turns and boom, first down, if not more. And then Tyreek, if he's not, on those boom plays, he could be a bust player. I don't see this continuing, but definitely my week 2 bust.
Do you even
based on expectations?
Do you even think that the Brady and Gronk peak is even over? Could this be a new peak for them?
It's not a peak.
Gronk already has
4
touchdowns in 2 games.
He could have been a boom player for each of the past 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And huge for you, drafting Pitts and then just taking a flyer on Gronk.
Yeah.
Paying off for you week 2, even though Pitts didn't even have a bad week this week as far as tight ends go. But yeah, we'll see if it continues. I don't see it continuing just based off of all the targets they have or weapons they have in Tampa. I don't think it's their peak anymore. I think Gronk has faded a bit more. Well, I think he's obviously faded more than Brady has.
He's not the player he used to be, but he's putting up numbers, which is why I'm saying that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that might be early to call, but you can't get off to much of a better start with all those other weapons on your team. You're still, it's that connection is real, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're kind of seeing there. I don't think that connection's at its peak, but it's definitely far from over.
Yeah. Totally.
So who's your bust for week 2?
So my bust is another Cowboys player. Had a massive week 1 in fantasy, and then just didn't do shit week 2, just like Tyreek Hill. Amari Cooper.
3 catches, 24 yards, 3.9 fantasy points.
And 0.5 PPR, that is.
Yeah.
But week 1, what did you have, 39 points, 40
35.4 points. He had 139 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and 13 receptions against the Bucs.
Just so quiet this week.
Yeah. A game we thought was going to be extremely high scoring.
Yeah. Even CD, I think he might be the new number 1 prevailing. I don't want to say for sure.
It's more 1A, 1B, really.
Yeah, I like that better.
Which is a good problem to have too. But yeah.
But yeah, CD's just been more consistent this year so far, and Amari just was not expecting him to come out and not even break 4 points.
We've kind of seen this in his career a little bit on the fantasy end, right? I think he's one of, if you could argue, top 3 route runners in the league. We've seen a problem with drops, but I think this is just an example of having so many weapons. And then also, I think they used more of their run game in this one with Pollard and Zeke having fairly good days on the ground. I think it's just going to happen sometimes, If it's not a huge, I don't know. They have so many weapons. Gallup was out too, though, wasn't he? He was out, I think.
I believe he was.
So you would have thought that would make Cooper look better, but I don't know. We'll see this a few times, but definitely a bust after what he did last week.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we'll move on to our start and sit players for this week.
Who you got?
So should we recap on our start and sit last week?
We'll touch on it. Yeah. I last week I said start Mike Williams, sit Mike Gesicki. I think I hit on both of those.
Yeah, 2 for 2.
Gesicki was 5 point something points. Better than 0.
That is not a start. That's definitely
exactly. So I think I was right on that. And then Mike Williams, while I still should have started Courtland Sutton over him, and those were my toss-ups for my start last week, Mike Williams, back-to-back weeks with just over 18 points. He had 18.6, 91 yards, receiving touchdowns, 7 catches. I think, we're truly seeing that dude healthy. He's a beast. He's a problem. He really is.
Him and Keenan are a nice little duo.
It's a really good duo with a really good quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah. So recap your start sit from last week.
Yeah, my start and sit last week, I had Damian Harris is a start.
Not awful.
Not awful.
What is it, like 13 points? Fantasy?
12.9 and 12.5 PPR. I said I think he's in a good position to score 15. I think it was.
Okay.
Didn't hit that 15, but I mean 12.9 points in the flex, which I had him in.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not a bad flex.
It's a decent flex.
62 yards on 16 carries, 1 touchdown, and 1 catch for 2 yards.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad week, not a great week.
Yeah.
But
it'll get the job done.
Yeah.
I guess. Right?
So I would say I'm 1 for 1 so far in the start and sit.
The start.
Yeah.
Not the sit.
1 for 1 so far in the start and sit. So, but moving on to my sit player, I am moving to 1 and 2 on my start and sit calls.
It's 1 and 1.
I was 1 for 1 to start with my start call out, and then once we add the sit into it, I'm 1 for 2.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay,
I'm thinking record.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're getting too much of that.
Percentage.
So I was 1 for 2 my start and sit. Ignore all that little.
Okay.
Whatever that was.
Who was your sit?
But my sit was DJ Moore.
Yeah.
I just didn't see him having a big week against the Saints defense.
Well, explain why.
Yeah, I didn't know that Marshawn Lattimore and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson were going to be hurt for the week.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference in the Saints secondary, and the Saints just looked like hot dog shit all around the board.
Yeah.
Right. And DJ Moore just ended up having a really good week, a better week than Damian Harris, actually.
Yeah.
I think he scored 17.9.
17.9, 79 receiving yards, 8 catches, and a touchdown.
And he was on my bench, and I started Laviska Shenault over him, who scored 0.7.
Yeah, good
but
thing.
I still did win, though.
Cole's team also scored 0.7, so that helped.
A win is a win. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's move on to
our week 3 fantasy start and sit players, just based off last week and my excitement for this guy and who they're playing matchup. I got Cortland Sutton, obviously, as my start for week 3, going against the New York Jets. I think it's a lock. Unless the only reason I see him not going off is 1, injury, obviously. And then 2 is they're up 21 points in the first, and they just run it with Javonte and Melvin the rest of the game. I think he's a pretty safe start as a wide receiver 2, a low-end wide receiver 2, and a high wide receiver 3 in your flex possibly. I mean, I think it's a good chance he could do really good numbers for a wide receiver 2 this week, if not this season, at least while Judy's out. So that's my week 3 start for fantasy. Who you got?
So my week 3 start is also a Broncos player, actually.
Yeah.
I have Javonte Williams.
I like it.
Hasn't really had a kind of big week yet, but he scored double-digit points in both weeks so far. First week, 14 touches, 14 rushes, and I think 2 receptions. Second week, 13 rushes, 2 receptions. Yeah. And then they are playing the Jets, and like basically bouncing off of your start for the week. Teddy Bridgewater has just been dominating lately.
Yeah, so easy schedule, but that's continuing this week.
Yeah,
right.
But to build off of that, I think with what Bridgewater has been doing in the passing game so far, Jets are going to focus a lot on that, and it's going to open up some big plays for Javonte Williams.
See some screens possibly going on, some big plays there. Yeah, I mean, you could almost you can almost argue starting Teddy Bridgewater on this awful Jets team, man.
And if Zach Wilson throws 4 picks again, it's just more possession time for the Broncos.
1, if not 2 guys are going to pop off on this the Broncos offense. We'll just wait to see who. Yeah. My week 3 sit, after a surprisingly good week from both of these running backs on the Bills, actually, I'm going week 3 sit, Devin Singletary. And my reasoning, I still don't think the opportunity is there. I think that him and Zach Moss had pretty good weeks in fantasy, literally just because of how much they were dominating the Dolphins.
He had a 46-yard touchdown run, which was basically half of his points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that's
on one play.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to, I wouldn't have said that he would have 140-yard rush this entire year. He doesn't have that breakaway speed. If you started him, good for you. I wouldn't do it this week. You're going against Washington football team defense. That D-line is scary. You're going to see a lot more running from Josh Allen and a lot of passing from Josh Allen this week. Amy, you jump out to a start like you did against Miami. I don't see that happening this week at all.
Yeah,
I understand why they each did well last week. I don't see it happening again.
Yeah, Dolphins just looked like an arena football team last week.
Yeah, really. Yeah, our high school JV team would have put up a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not a pretty week for them.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. So who you got week 3 sits?
My week 3 sit is James Robinson.
Ouch. Yeah.
I mean, I love the guy. I think he showed a lot of promise last season. He finished like
2 weeks in. I still think he's being underutilized.
Yeah, I do believe that as well.
Yeah.
But the reason I have him sit is because Jaguars haven't done much on offense at all this year, and then they are playing the Cardinals defense with a really good defensive line.
Yeah. Very surprising to some. I was shocked at how good.
Yeah. And
although they did just get torched by Devin Cook this week.
But it's Dalvin Cook.
That's true. That's true.
And then Dalvin Cook gets utilized a lot more than James Robinson does.
But it was Derrick Henry week 1.
Yeah, so if they can stop Derrick Henry, they can definitely stop James Robinson.
Yeah,
especially because Titans are a better team than Jaguars, and Jaguars haven't done anything offensively.
I agree with you. He's kind of like the reason why I was a little down on Eckler and what's his face for the Patriots?
Damian Harris.
Yeah. Great athletes, great talents. I just think, obviously matchup and then the way they're utilized by the coaching staff, so especially with Robinson, it's not ideal, and I'm one of many fantasy owners who actually took him pretty high with some high expectations with Etienne going out.
But it was a very reasonable pick, though.
You would think, right?
The year he had last year, if you can snag him in the 3rd round, 4th round.
What this really makes me think is how valuable Etienne's going to be next year. With how much they want to pass.
Yeah.
They're gonna treat him as Alvin Kamara, and he's gonna be a high pick next year.
But looking at Robinson's highlights from last season, he's not even really that bad of a receiving back.
No, he's not at all. That's where he got a lot of his points. Yeah. It's not like the Jags were ahead of games last year, and he was just rushing the whole time.
I'm pretty sure he got a lot of yards after catch in the receiving game.
Yeah. No, they definitely used him more this week than last week. We'll see how it goes going forward. Not a bad sit pick there.
I still am high on him for the season, though.
Yeah,
I just don't think
I think it's going to take some time. Yeah. It's going to take some time.
He's got to get the ball rolling more.
Because you're talking about most important pieces of a team. You're talking QB and head coach, and they got 2 first-year guys in the NFL at those positions.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while, that's for sure.
Should have just stuck with Gardner Minshew, to be honest.
Yeah.
Trade away the first pick. Build around Gardner.
That's ballsy.
Super Bowl team.
Ball. See. All right, let's get to buy low, sell high. 2 weeks in, and of course there's bias, but this is why I picked these guys up, right? My buy low guy, Mike Williams. The one caveat is his health, right? That's what could scare people. But what else is scaring anybody about Mike Williams right now? In a high passing offense, where Keenan is heavily guarded by defenses, and that's their guy that they key in on along with Eckler. Mike Williams is seeing more open matchups. He's a guy that wins one-on-one matchups just based off size and aggression and just physical ability. The guy was a specimen at Clemson. Highly sought-after receiver. His health has been the main issue, and I think, as long as he's healthy, he's a guy that people should be trying to get right now, and I don't think it's going to take much to get him if he's not on waivers. I think you could trade for him pretty easily. A low-end RB2, high-end RB3, you could probably do a straight up for him, honestly, depending on the other team's needs. Mike Williams is a dude to go get him if you can, if you need that.
I like that one.
Who you got for buy low?
So I actually had 2 guys. I couldn't decide between either one. One was a Colts player, so just to stay away from talking about the Colts, I'm just going to go with the one other guy.
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson. I think the dude has a lot of talent, really solid running back.
Spicy.
But he has yet to break double digits on fantasy this year.
Scares me.
Which is why I'm saying he's a buy low right now.
Yeah.
Because people might try to ship him off.
Yeah.
And I think he has the talent, and he started off slow last year, so it might be kind of like a little repeat of that this year. So if you can buy low this year with him, and then just ride him for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I like it. He's a guy, and I'm trying to boost my running back situation a little bit, that I looked at for possibly trying to trade for. I guess I'm waiting for a mediocre week at least to see.
Well, that's
but
why
I do like that.
Buy low right now because he hasn't broken double digits.
Yeah.
So if you can definitely give up
I'm just worried
something
that
cheap for him.
I'm worried that Taylor Heineke's situation is going to ruin his season. That's where I'm worried. But great talent.
Who was the quarterback last year for the Washington football team?
was it Haskins, and then Kyle Allen, and then Heineke, I want to say. I think all three of them.
Heineke didn't come in until playoffs. Was when he played the Bucks.
Did Haskins play last year?
For a little bit.
I want to say it was Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen.
Yeah, out of AZ boy.
Yeah, so like I think Heineke's better than both those guys.
Yeah.
So it just helps Gibson more.
Yeah.
They just need to build that chemistry up and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen more throughout the season.
Not a bad pick at all right there. All right, so let's go to sell high. So these are kind of like players that had higher expectations. They're playing mediocre. If you need if you have a hole in your lineup, maybe you try to capitalize on trading this guy right now. I'm going Joe Mixon. Plenty of guys you could have picked for this. I might even say my first pick, second pick, because we had Cooper, Ridley. But I'm going like both of those guys. I'm taking Mixon though. I think he has. I don't know. Everybody wants the RB1, right? If you're a guy who's needing wide receivers or maybe even a legit top tier tight end, and you have a little bit of surplus on the running back side, and you got Joe Mixon, and you're going to see lots of big weeks like we saw week 1, and then lots of bad weeks like we just saw here. Another one of those guys is really talented. The way the game's played is going to dictate, or the way the game's going is going to dictate his production. Whereas, you got your Derrick Henry, week 1, it's going to kind of make me look silly saying this, but you got your guys like Derrick Henry, your McCaffreys, your Camaras. Their floors are 15. Their floors are 14, right? Mixon's floor we just saw can be really low, but he had a great week 1. So if you have needs that outweigh Joe Mixon's value, get rid of Mixon.
Yeah, I've honestly never been high on Mixon. There was 2 seasons in a row I had him in fantasy.
Gets hurt.
Didn't do anything for like the first few weeks, so I shipped him off, and then just started balling. So I have a lot of recency bias against him.
How it goes, yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely agreeing with you. Get rid of Mixon while you can. I actually have 2 sell highs. This was a very hard one for me, and I think they're both good sell highs. My first one, Sterling Shepard. He is the number 9 wide receiver in 0.5 PPR right now, and he has a history with injuries. Hasn't played a full season since 2018, which is why I'm saying sell high. Obviously, you never want to see a guy get injured and get hurt, but that's my biggest caution with him is his history with injuries. So I think you can get a good pull for him right now if you trade him away, being the number 9 wide receiver in 0.5 PPR and just getting a lot of targets and stuff from Daniel Jones. Plus with the Giants, always probably going to be like running behind in games, or behind in games, you're going to be passing a lot, which is an argument you can use for Sterling Shepard's production, whatever. And then my second guy is Brandin Cooks. Scored 18 points in the last 2 weeks each. And then now Tyrod Taylor is out probably a couple weeks with a hamstring injury. And then David Mills just did not look good. So I think Brandin Cooks is going to start teetering off. So I think right now is a good time to sell Brandin Cooks high, given his production in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, those are both guys that I think they've both been surprisingly, good. I'm not buying any of those high though. I don't know.
Well, if
you're shopping
there's someone dumb enough in the league,
Cooks, well, that's why. I feel like those should be sell, or what is it? Sell low, sell. Yeah, those are the buy low guys. I think
it's hard to buy a guy low when he scored 18 points in the first 2 weeks each.
Not if your name is I can't even remember his name. Sterling Shepard. I was high on him last year, but he's on a team with Kenny Golladay, who they just paid big, right? They got Darius Slayton.
What has Kenny Golladay done this year, though?
I know, but I think it's only been 2 weeks, and they just paid the dude. You don't think they're going to involve him more?
Darius Slayton can't even catch a ball, dude.
They throw to him a lot. And they got a rookie they just drafted out of Florida, who I love and was one of my sleeper picks in the real draft, in Kadarius Toney. I think that guy's a beast.
What has he done so far, though?
It's been 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. These are sell high guys now.
A sell high guy is a guy that had bigger expectations, is performing mediocre. That's what that is. No?
I see sell high as someone who's been popping off, but is soon going to fall off. So you get rid of them while their value is high. That is sell high in my opinion.
I understand, yeah. But if you're smart, you're not buying.
But not everyone's smart.
I guess.
Every fantasy league.
All right. We're giving takes for dumbass fantasy owners.
There's always those casuals in fantasy.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. So we'll go to next up. We got best waiver pickups. I got Hollywood Brown as my first guy. I mean, 2 pretty good weeks off the bat. Like I said earlier, or in our last episode, we've seen him put 2 weeks together in a row to start off a season that are really good, and then he just disappears. I think this one is here to stay. I don't know if he's going to maintain these high weeks every week, but I think he'll overall be a pretty good wide receiver that you can toss in a flex when you got a guy on a bye week. So that's my best waiver pickup.
The only thing
my first one.
I have against that one is that, so we use a sleeper app for our fantasy league, and he is rostered already in 70%.
Yeah.
So if he's not rostered, definitely go pick him up. I'm 100% on the board with you on that one. But for my waiver wire pickup, I have Quintez Cephus, however you say it.
Cephus, yeah.
Cephus, as my waiver wire pickup.
Uh-huh.
I just think that Jared Goff is starting to develop a connection with him, even though once I think Tyrell Williams.
But what is
number one? He's going to be
Tyrell Williams is in reality is what a mediocre wide receiver too.
He's supposed to be wide receiver 1.
Exactly. I don't think he's a better weapon than Cephus. I think Goff is also building a rapport with Cephus right now.
Yeah, which is why I think I'll grab him.
I think that's a great pickup. Great call there. Yeah.
And he's only rostered in 6% of rosters.
Yeah, I think we'll see that change for sure. Definitely.
Plus, he almost had
a big week this week, almost at that second touchdown.
Yeah, the one-handed catch he dropped. That would have been nuts.
That would have been insane.
And I just think with the Lions going to be down late in games a lot, they're going to start passing the ball a lot, and it's just good garbage time points for Cephus.
Yeah, I like it. My second waiver pickup, I got Henry Ruggs. It's almost just like another version of Hollywood Brown, right? I think last year we saw it was more miss than hit for Henry Ruggs, a lot. And I still think he's going to have that hit or miss kind of style, but he just hit big on a big touchdown with Derek Carr, which is kind of when you're watching Raiders games, obviously you're looking for when he's healthy, you got Josh Jacobs, and you got Darren Waller. But what I'm really looking to see is, are they ever going to utilize this guy like a Tyreek Hill, like they planned on doing, right? You drafted him high, first receiver taken that season. Use him. We have yet to see it. I think Ruggs has been slacking a little bit on his end, just on the performance end, but I think we're going to see they're going to start trying to incorporate him more. They're going to, Derek Carr, you're going to see him take more chances on going deep for Ruggs. So I think it's a pretty safe pick to pick up Henry Ruggs in the waivers, and just hold on to him. Maybe you want to take a chance on a boom week and put him in your flex.
I think Ruggs' potential is definitely there. It just comes down to the way Gruden utilizes him.
Yeah.
Gruden and
Carr, really, because Carr they let Carr make a lot of decisions at the line.
Yeah, and Gruden just gets so bricked up for Darren Waller that he just wants to
27 targets a game.
Yeah. So it's going to be hard for Ruggs, but I do like Ruggs as a wide receiver. I think he has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Just as long as he gets utilized more, I think it'd be a great waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, definitely.
My second waiver wire pickup for the week is Rondale Moore for the Arizona Cardinals.
Love it. Yeah.
He is only on 50% of rosters in the sleeper app. Really quick, speedy guy, breakaway speed, especially with the air raid offense. College is throwing some deep balls like we saw last week. Definitely a guy who can be capable of scoring on a big pass play.
Yeah, I actually almost traded for him this past week. I like him. I didn't expect what we saw this week this early out of him. Obviously you're hesitant with, you got DeAndre Hopkins, of course, you got Christian Kirk, you got AJ Green. You don't think of Rondale Moore before any of those guys, right?
Yeah, but I think Kyle's such a good QB. He knows him.
Well, and I think they're going to have a style almost like the Chargers, Cowboys-esque, where they're heavy pass, man. And then their running game, I love Chase Edmonds, but Kyler's still RB1 to me. But I think they're going to be heavy pass, and he is a legit weapon, like we saw, man. And he's shifty, he's incredibly fast, good route runner. Yeah, I like that waiver pickup a lot. We obviously got some Cardinals fans in our league, and one of them drafted him at the end of our draft. So if he's still on the waivers, go get him.
Yeah,
go
snag him real quick.
Yeah. All right, we'll finish this by just giving our one player who we think is for real. They didn't have to be super high expectations. They didn't have to be super low. Just a guy that we really like. Okay, and I'm going to start off with a guy that I wanted to draft and then wanted to trade for before the season because I knew this was going to happen. Couldn't do it. Cooper Kupp. We've seen him and Robert Woods with Goff in the past look really good, right? On those days where Goff looks like that franchise QB, and you got these two really good weapons. In my opinion, Kupp always stood out a little bit more as just a better receiver. Like in all areas of being a receiver, I think he is just a little bit better than Woods as far as hands, route running, maybe not speed, but yeah, I think he has a little bit of that Kelsey in him where he finds holes really well, and just I think we're seeing a connection with Stafford right off the bat that I didn't expect to be this big. I mean, the guy might go down as a top 3 fantasy receiver this year, and I don't think that's going to be a big shock to anybody when that time comes, because that offense is explosive. Stafford is obviously the real deal, and Cup is just going to feast off of it.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah.
Actually happened in one of my leagues, and probably my best fantasy pick.
Yeah. I mean, probably a 5th rounder type of guy, maybe 4th at the highest.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I
like second
he's
round,
already
first round value this year.
Yeah, he's already tearing it up, and he's going to continue.
Yeah.
I think.
My finish is the number 1 wide receiver, to be honest.
Yeah. There's a really good chance. Off to a hot start.
Barring any injuries or anything like that.
Yep.
But my kind of, how'd you phrase it? The legit guy or whatever?
Just the guy that we're kind of buying into and we just think is going to be legit.
Yeah. So he's not, I don't have this guy in the league we're in together, but he is in 2 of my other leagues.
Yeah.
TJ Hockenson. I think the dude is a legit tight end.
Yeah.
And he's finally like developing the player that the Lions drafted him to be.
Coming out here, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at just how. I mean, I'm not surprised that he's this good, right? I kind of saw it coming. I thought he was really good. I'm surprised he's doing this well, going from Stafford to Goff, because we didn't see this with the past 2 years of Stafford.
I think it's just because Goff likes tight ends more.
But he didn't really, because there's a lot of people down on Hockenson because Goff didn't really utilize his tight ends all that much.
Tyler Higbee has pretty good games.
That's true.
Also, wasn't Dan Campbell a former tight end? That was his position, right?
I think so.
So yeah, with him being a former tight end and the new head coach, he probably wants to utilize
He knows
Hockenson
the
a lot more.
importance of that position.
Yeah. And then just watching Hockenson, he knows how to get open. He can make some great catches. Like last game against the Packers, he had a really nice touchdown catch.
Yeah. You see a lot of, a mix of kind of a Kelsey Kittle. I'm not saying he's on that level yet. I just see a mix of that in his style of play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still super young, has like a lot of time to develop too.
Yeah. Big guy.
Yeah.
Fast for his size, obviously.
And a really good blocker, even though it has nothing to do with fantasy.
Yeah.
Just improves his game all around, I think.
Well, it makes you more lethal as a pass weapon, I think.
Yeah.
Because they give more focus to you when you are that good of a blocker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
So I think we would label these 2 guys as, I guess, guys to keep for the season. Don't get rid of them. Hold on to these guys.
Or if you can get them in a trade or something, go for it.
Good luck on getting Cooper Kupp.
You might have to give a haul for him.
Good luck. Yeah.
But
yeah. So that concludes our fantasy football episode. Episode 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. Good luck. Good luck on your fantasy week 3, and I'll be seeing you at 3-0 next week.
And one more thing. So if you didn't watch episode 5, we are still doing the weekly bet.
Yes.
So go leave a comment of a sports bet we should take this weekend on college football or the NFL. We will be wagering $50 of our own on it. If it hits, whoever commented the bet will get 50% of the profits, and we will be picking the bet just before Thursday night's football game, NFL game. But yeah, go like, subscribe, DM us proof, and comment as many bets as you want on episode 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.